Tonight, you drift into the history of sleep itself, wandering through ancient worlds where dreams arrived without alarms, and the nights stretched longer than anyone could measure. The screen is dark at first, soft and quiet, and you ease into it the way you would sink into an oversized pillow that has seen far too many nights of indecision. You are told, in a calm voice, that you are about to wander through the long and meandering history of sleep. You probably won't make it through this day, but that's fine, that's sort of the point. Before we begin, you're gently reminded to like and subscribe. No alarms, no pressure, just a little button somewhere below, glowing faintly like a candle in a forgotten monastery corridor. And if you're still awake enough, leave a comment with where you are in the world and what time it is. There's something oddly comforting about knowing that a stranger in another time zone might be nodding off at the same moment as you. Now let's ease into tonight's journey. You close your eyes, or maybe you don't, because the imagery works just as well half awake, and you find yourself lying in a room that isn't your own. The walls are mud brick, the ceiling is low, and the air smells faintly of crushed reeds and cooling clay. You're in Mesopotamia, one of the earliest cradles of civilization, where sleep is as old and unremarkable as the first loaf of bread that somebody probably burnt in an outdoor oven. Here, people do not measure sleep in hours because hours themselves have only just been invented. Time is rough like a handmade pot. Morning when the light comes, night when it doesn't. The villagers of Ur and Babylon lay down on mats stuffed with straw, or if they're lucky, wool. There is no mattress company to compare firmness ratings, no late-night TV ad for adjustable frames, just the slow surrender to the night sky and the rustling of livestock nearby. One historical fact drifts in. The ancient Mesopotamians believed dreams were messages from the gods, neatly delivered like celestial post. There were entire manuals of dream interpretation, clay tablets filled with neat cuneiform lines explaining, for example, that if you dream of eating a raven, you might inherit a household. If you dream of drowning in beer, well, historians still debate whether that was considered good fortune or just indigestion. And then there's the small detail. In Babylon, professional dream interpreters were sometimes consulted by kings before battle. Imagine calling in sick to your modern office because your manager had a strange dream about goats. Sorry, boss. Can't finish the spreadsheet. The omens are bad. You walk outside the mud brick house, your feet sinking softly into the dust. The stars are vivid, too many to count, and the air is cooler than it has any right to be. A dog barks somewhere in the distance, then promptly decides that barking is too much effort. You watch as neighbors settle in, the sound of reed mats shifting, and you realize that bedtime here is not a private affair. Everyone in the household sleeps in the same space, children, parents, even grandparents. Privacy is not invented yet. Neither are pajamas. You notice someone tying a charm above the doorway, a tiny clay figure meant to ward off Lamashtu, a demon who was thought to creep into houses at night. It's a strangely tender gesture. This little figurine with its sharp teeth, meant to keep nightmares away. You wonder, not for the last time, whether all of human history is simply people trying to sleep better. The night deepens. A breeze moves through the reeds, like paper sighing. The scent of roasted onions lingers from dinner. And you, standing there like a misplaced tourist without sandals, feel the heavy warmth of sleep tugging at your eyes. You probably won't stay awake for the next part, but the story goes on anyway. You blink, and when your eyes open again, the walls have changed. The mud bricks are replaced by cut stone. The air smells of olive oil and crushed herbs, and outside you hear the faint laughter of philosophers who seem to have had too much diluted wine. You're in ancient Greece now, a place where sleep is not merely rest, but a subject of genuine curiosity, woven into myth and poetry. Here, the god Hypnos is imagined as a winged figure, gentle and inevitable, drifting across the land to press his hand over the eyes of mortals. His twin brother is Thanatos, the personification of death, because of course, even in mythology, people noticed how sleep and death look suspiciously alike. Not the cheeriest family reunion, but it does make bedtime sound more dramatic than it usually feels. Daily life in Athens is loud, bustling, and dusty. You wander through narrow streets, stepping past fishmongers packing up their stalls, their hands smelling of brine. Citizens discuss politics in the agora, raising their voices with theatrical indignation. Because what's the point of arguing about taxes if no one 3 streets away can hear you? Eventually, though, even the philosophers grow tired, and the city settles into a quiet rhythm, olive lamps flickering against plaster walls. Your bed, if you are fortunate, is a wooden frame with leather straps across it, covered by a thin mattress stuffed with wool or feathers. More often, it's just a mat, unrolled on the floor. Blankets are simple, but the night air in the Mediterranean is forgiving, carrying the smell of sea salt and thyme. Somewhere nearby, a neighbor hums a song before drifting off. It is not a lullaby, not exactly, but it works. Here's a historical fact worth holding on to, even as your eyes close. The Greeks believed in incubation, a practice where people would sleep in temples dedicated to Asclepius, the god of healing, hoping for dreams that would bring cures to their ailments. Imagine booking a hospital appointment today where the doctor simply tells you, "Go take a nap in that sacred room and see what your dreams suggest." A smaller, stranger tidbit. Some ancient Greeks thought that bees had the power to slip dreams into sleeping people's mouths. Sweet, yes, but also mildly terrifying if you take it literally. Historians still debate whether this belief was widespread or just an oddly poetic metaphor that escaped its author's notebook. You step into one of these temples now, the floor cool against your feet, the air heavy with incense. Pilgrims lie on mats in neat rows, waiting for the god to send them visions. The night is hushed, but you hear the occasional cough, the shuffle of cloth, and somewhere in the back, a man snoring so loudly that even Hypnos himself must be reconsidering his life choices. You find your spot, a quiet corner where the ceiling is painted with faint stars. You lie down, feeling the hardness of the floor through the thin mat. Around you, the flicker of lamplight seems to sway with your own breathing. Sleep approaches slowly, like a friend who has taken the long way through the city, pausing to admire every statue along the way. You close your eyes, half expecting bees, half expecting nothing at all. What you receive is the same thing countless Greeks received, the quiet mystery of the mind wandering without your permission. And so the night stretches on, and you lie there in Athens, as ordinary and extraordinary as every sleeper who has ever been. The morning air changes again, and when you open your eyes, you notice the floor is no longer marble but woven tatami. The faint scent of cedar and smoke lingers in the air, along with something subtler, green tea leaves, freshly crushed. You are in ancient Japan, stepping into a quiet wooden house where the sliding doors groan slightly as they open, letting in the softest rectangle of light. You probably won't make it through this day either. But then again, nobody ever really does. It's always tomorrow by the time you're ready. Here, sleep takes on a very particular rhythm, guided by the seasons and the slow discipline of daily life. People lie down on straw mats or futons, which are far thinner than your modern mattress but surprisingly comfortable once your body gives up complaining. Blankets are made of hemp or silk, depending on whether you belong to a humble farmer's household or a more elevated family. The walls are thin, paper stretched over wooden frames, which means you don't sleep alone. You sleep with the sound of crickets, the chatter of neighbors, and the occasional sneeze from the next room. The Japanese word inamuri, literally being present while sleeping, is not yet coined, but the practice exists in spirit. Farmers rest in the fields between rows of rice, merchants doze on stools during quiet afternoons, monks close their eyes during chanting, if only for a moment. In this culture, sleep isn't always confined to the night. It drifts in like an untethered cloud, settling wherever it pleases. One historical fact slides in. As early as the Heian period, aristocrats described their dreams in diaries, believing them to be glimpses of hidden truths or echoes of karma from past lives. Whole pages of elegant calligraphy detail whether a dream of cranes foretold longevity, or whether the sudden vision of a broken fan hinted at fading fortune. Dreams here are not just idle, they are considered messages threaded through by unseen hands. And then comes the odd tidbit. Some nobles believed that if you slept with your head facing north, your soul would align better with cosmic forces. Others said the same about sleeping toward the east, which must have made arranging a futon a matter of both geometry and existential anxiety. Historians still debate whether this was widely practiced or just another example of aristocrats having too much time to think about pillow orientation. You step into a temple where monks are finishing their evening prayers. The lamps glow faintly, casting soft halos on the lacquered beams. A monk gestures for you to lie down in a quiet corner. The straw beneath you smells faintly sweet, and you listen as the wind rattles bamboo outside. The chant lingers in your ears, low and steady, until it blurs with your breath. You might almost laugh at the thought. People centuries from now will still be worrying about how to sleep correctly, inventing gadgets and supplements, while here, in the simplest of rooms, the night arrives without a fuss. Your eyes close, your body curls slightly on the mat, and the boundary between dream and waking thins until it feels like silk. When you stir again, the air feels dry and warm, touched with dust and something faintly metallic. You find yourself in Egypt, beneath the broad sky of the Nile Valley, where night descends quickly after the blaze of the sun. The houses here are built of mud brick, their rooftops flat and open, and it is on these rooftops that many Egyptians prefer to sleep. You climb a narrow staircase, sandals slipping on worn stone, and reach a flat surface where mats have been laid out. Above you, the sky stretches endless, thick with stars. The Milky Way arches like a pale river, and it is hard not to feel that you are lying directly beneath the spine of the gods. Here's your steady historical fact. Ancient Egyptians associated dreams with messages from the divine, and priests sometimes acted as interpreters. The famous Chester Beatty papyrus even contains a dream book, listing which visions foretold good or bad luck. Dreaming of drinking warm beer, for instance, was thought to signal sorrow. Which makes sense, warm beer still signals sorrow. The weirder tidbit? Some Egyptians believed that onions placed under the head during sleep could encourage prophetic dreams. Whether this was faith or simply a way to mask the smell of goats nearby remains unclear. Historians still debate whether this practice was superstition or ritual medicine. Either way, it probably didn't do much for one's pillow fragrance. You lie down on one of these rooftops, the mat thin but softened by years of use. The air is cooler now, flowing like water over your skin, and you listen to the river below, where boats creak against their moorings. From another rooftop comes the faint sound of a flute, the notes carried lazily on the breeze. Around you, families are settling in for the night, children whispering, elders adjusting their blankets. Sleep is communal here too. Above the streets, above the noise, as if everyone is perched on the edge of heaven, waiting for the gods to lean down with dreams. You tilt your head and see a painted amulet hanging nearby, a small figure of the dwarf god Bes, protector of households and sleep. He grins with his tongue sticking out, more comical than fearsome, but somehow reassuring. You think again. Across time, across cultures, people always made little guardians for the night, as if we all secretly agreed that sleep is a fragile thing worth defending. The stars blur, the sound of the river grows softer, and the mat beneath you seems to float. You are in Egypt, and you are not alone. You open your eyes to the sound of bells, low, heavy, and resonant, rolling across damp stone walls. The air feels cooler here, tinged with smoke from a fireplace that has gone mostly to embers. You're in medieval Europe now, in a small village where the houses lean together as if whispering secrets, their thatched roofs darkened by rain. You probably won't make it through this day either. But then again, few in the Middle Ages did, at least not without naps and strong ale. Sleep here is not a single block of time. Instead, it comes in two stretches, what scholars now call segmented sleep. You lie down after dusk, rest for a few hours, and then wake in the middle of the night. This waking, the watch, is an accepted part of life. People pray, talk quietly, check on their animals, or even slip out to visit neighbors. Only later do they return to bed for a second sleep until dawn. One historical fact anchors you here. Segmented sleep appears in dozens of medieval texts. Court records, letters, and even medical treatises describe this pattern as ordinary, not unusual. To lie awake in the middle of the night was simply what people did. It wasn't insomnia, it was just the way the dark was shaped. The curious tidbit: some medieval households kept bed warmers. Metal pans filled with hot coals slid under the covers before bedtime. Comforting, yes, until you remember that smoldering embers inside your mattress could easily start a fire. Historians still debate whether this practice was more common in noble houses or whether peasants improvised with hot bricks. Either way, warm feet, uncertain house insurance was a shared reality. You walk into a cottage now, ducking under the low lintel. Inside, the family lies together on a wide bed, parents, children, even a stray cousin or two. The room smells faintly of hay, damp wool, and cabbage soup. A dog curls at the foot, sighing in its sleep. On a stool by the bed rests a candle stub, half burnt, waiting for the midnight watch. The wind rattles the shutters, and you notice how quickly silence becomes a presence here. Thick, unhurried, wrapping itself around the rafters. You close your eyes, and when you open them again, you are in the middle of the night, sitting upright like everyone else, staring into the quiet. No alarms, no urgency. Just a pause, long enough to wonder what tomorrow might hold, and then enough darkness left to drift back down into the second sleep. When you stir again, the bells are gone, and the air has changed. Feels warmer now, salted by the sea. The streets are narrow and crowded, the sound of merchants fading as shutters close. You are in the Ottoman Empire, somewhere between the call to prayer and the hush of the evening. Here, the rhythm of sleep is influenced by faith. The day is broken into cycles marked by prayer, and so the night bends gently around those hours. People lie on mattresses filled with cotton or wool, covered by quilts embroidered with patterns so intricate they almost seem designed to hypnotize. You stretch out on one, the thread brushing softly against your fingers. A steady historical fact: Ottoman households often arranged their sleeping spaces in communal rooms, rolling out mattresses at night and storing them away during the day. Furniture was flexible, space adaptable. Sleep was part of the daily rhythm, not a separate event. The stranger tidbit: in some texts, coffee, introduced from Yemen in the 15th century, was described as both a blessing and a threat to sleep. Cafes spread rapidly through Istanbul, and worried officials sometimes tried to ban them, fearing that all-night gatherings of men drinking coffee might lead to unrest. Historians still debate whether these bans were about sleeplessness politics, or simply jealousy over unpaid coffee taxes. You wander through a quiet street, past latticed windows where light glows faintly. A family prepares their sleeping space, unrolling mattresses side by side, the smell of rosewater clinging to the fabric. Children giggle, then collapse into yawns. The father adjusts a lamp, its flame tiny and fragile against the shadows. You lie down with them, not an intruder but a quiet observer, breathing in the night as if it belongs to everyone. Outside, the sound of water splashing against stone drifts in. Somewhere a dog barks, and then a rooster, clearly confused about the hour. The quilt settles over you, soft and weighty, and you understand suddenly that sleep here feels less like escape and more like surrender to rhythm, the rhythm of prayer, of sea, of life itself. The flame flickers lower. The coffeehouses grow quiet, and once again you are drawn under, as if the night itself insists. You wake to the sound of horses' hooves on cobblestones, echoing like muted drums against tall, crowded buildings. The air smells faintly of smoke, bread, and something less pleasant that you decide not to identify. You're in Renaissance Italy, where sleep is a little fancier, a little more theatrical, though not always more comfortable. You probably won't make it through this day. But then again, when everyone is staying up to debate art, astronomy, and whether or not that statue really looks like David, you wouldn't either. Here, beds are objects of pride. Wealthy households place them in the center of their chambers, draped in heavy curtains, decorated with carved wood. Beds are so valuable they're listed in wills, passed down like jewelry or farmland. For poorer families, a straw mattress tucked into the corner must suffice, but the principle remains. A bed is a statement. Your historical fact: Leonardo da Vinci himself was said to experiment with polyphasic sleep, taking short naps throughout the day instead of a single long rest, claiming it left him more time to invent machines that no one would build for centuries. Whether this worked brilliantly or left him grumpy is still uncertain. Historians still debate if he truly followed the pattern long-term, or if it was more of a quirk in his notebooks than a lifelong practice. Now for the stranger tidbit. In Florence, some households placed slices of onion or garlic under pillows to ward off illness. Perhaps not the most romantic fragrance, but certainly effective for discouraging conversation after bedtime. You walk through a narrow street lit by flickering oil lamps. A baker is pulling the last loaves from his oven, the crusty smell rolling into the night. Upstairs, in a merchant's house, you see the glow of candles through embroidered curtains. A couple prepares to sleep, pulling heavy blankets across a bed that could almost pass for a stage. The air is thick with perfume, as if scent itself might guard against nightmares. You lie down too, though your bed is humbler. A straw-filled mattress near the hearth, the fire hissing softly. The room hums with quiet conversation, broken only by the occasional cough. You feel the straw pressing unevenly against your back, but the rhythm of the fire and the weight of the night soften it. You close your eyes, wondering whether you'll dream of angels, or geometry, or bread. When your eyes open again, you hear the steady crash of waves and the cry of gulls. The air is thick with salt, the ground trembling faintly as cannons fire in the distance. You are aboard a ship now, sailing somewhere in the age of exploration, when men decided it was a good idea to cross entire oceans without knowing what snacks to bring. You probably won't make it through this day, especially since seasickness alone has ended many a bold ambition. Sleep here is rough, quite literally. Sailors rest in hammocks slung between beams, their bodies swaying with the rhythm of the sea. Hammocks are efficient, preventing men from rolling onto the deck when the ship lurches. The air is damp, the wood creaks, and rats scurry nearby, though you try to think of them as tiny night companions. Here's your historical fact. The widespread use of hammocks aboard European ships began in the 16th century, adopted from the indigenous peoples of the Caribbean. Sailors found them more practical than rigid bunks, as they moved with the ship instead of against it. And here's the odd tidbit. Some captains believe sailors should sleep with one eye open, metaphorically at least, because danger could come at any hour, storms, mutiny, or, most realistically, someone stealing your salted pork ration. Historians still debate how much official sleep regulations existed versus how much was left to chaotic improvisation. You step into the hold, ducking under beams, and see rows of men rocking in hammocks, snoring in uneven rhythms that sound suspiciously like a badly tuned orchestra. The smell of tar and salted fish clings to everything. A lantern swings, its light sweeping across faces turned slack with exhaustion. You climb into one of the hammocks, sags deeply, wrapping you like a cocoon. At first it feels unstable, as though you might tip out and land on the planks. But then the ship sways again, and suddenly the hammock feels like the only place in the world designed to float with the motion. The sound of waves becomes a lullaby, repetitive and endless. For a moment, you think you hear laughter above deck, men telling stories under the stars. You picture constellations scattered across the sky, and wonder if sailors on the opposite side of the world are looking up at the same patterns. Then the hammock rocks again, and your eyes close, heavy, as the ship carries you through the darkness. You wake to the faint ticking of gears, softer than rain, steadier than a heartbeat. The room is lit by a single candle, its light glinting off brass and glass. You're in early modern Europe now, the 17th century perhaps, when clocks are beginning to infiltrate homes and change the way people think about sleep. You probably won't make it through this day, though for once, the clocks will keep track of exactly how far you got. Here, time is no longer just sunrise and sunset. It is divided into measured slices, neatly carved by bells and chiming hours. Sleep begins to shift under this pressure. People start thinking of bedtime as something you can schedule, something with a beginning and an end, as if dreams could be penciled in like an appointment. A steady historical fact, the invention of spring-driven clocks in the 15th century allowed smaller, more affordable timepieces to spread into homes. By the 1600s, some families had wall or table clocks, transforming the rhythm of daily life and nightly rest. The stranger tidbit. In some regions, it was believed that if a clock stopped suddenly during the night, it foretold a death in the household, which must have made winding the clock before bed a surprisingly tense activity. Historians still debate whether this belief was widespread or more of a localized superstition. You wander through a quiet townhouse. The walls are paneled with dark wood, the bed high and curtained. A woman in a linen cap leans over to snuff out her candle, careful not to set the sheets alight. The household clock ticks on, marking the seconds, reminding everyone of the time they are supposed to be asleep. You lie down on the mattress, stuffed with feathers that shift beneath your weight. The pillow is firm, the blanket heavy, the room smelling faintly of lavender sachets tucked into drawers. The clock ticks louder in your ears, counting off the night in strict increments. And yet, despite all the measurement, your eyes close not because of the clock, but in spite of it. Sleep still arrives as it always has, unmeasured, unbothered, indifferent to the human obsession with precision. When you next open your eyes, the air is thick with coal smoke. Outside, chimneys puff in steady rhythms, and the streets are crowded even after dark. You're in the Industrial Revolution now, where sleep itself has been put to work. You probably won't make it through this day, though neither will most factory workers without a nap stolen on a bench. The city is loud, unrelenting. Machines clatter, trains scream along iron tracks, and gas lamps keep the streets unnaturally bright. For the first time, night is no longer fully dark, no longer entirely restful. People work late shifts, sleep in cramped quarters, and rise again at dawn's whistle. One historical fact: in the 19th century, factory schedules and artificial lighting shorten average sleep times, with workers often recording just 5 to 6 hours of rest. The natural rhythm of segmented sleep began to fade under the weight of industry. The curious tidbit: some Victorian reformers worried that too much sleep was a sign of laziness and moral weakness. Pamphlets warned against overindulgence in slumber, as if sleeping until 8 were a crime. Historians still debate how widespread these attitudes were, but the lectures were real enough to make mornings more irritating than they needed to be. You step into a worker's flat, climbing a narrow staircase into a room shared by an entire family. The bed is wide, lumpy, and crowded. Children curl at the edges, parents occupy the center, and the air smells of soot and boiled potatoes. The only light is from a candle stub balanced precariously on a tin plate. You lie down in the narrow space left for you, shoulder to shoulder with strangers. The walls creak, a baby stirs, and somewhere in the distance a factory bell tolls, reminding you that dawn is only a few hours away. And yet, exhaustion softens everything. Even in the age of machines, when time is dictated by whistles and gears, the human body insists on rest. You close your eyes, soot-smudged and heavy-limbed, and the city keeps on humming as if it doesn't care. Because it doesn't. You awaken to silence. No hammers, no bells, no gears. Just the faint rustle of paper. You're in a different sort of revolution now, the intellectual one. It's the late 19th century, the age when sleep itself starts becoming an object of study, not just a nightly inconvenience. You probably won't make it through this day, though the scientists in lab coats would be thrilled to track your brainwaves until you gave up. Here, the bedrooms are lined with notebooks and odd contraptions. A man with wire spectacles adjusts a metronome on the table beside you. Another fiddles with a candle, marking how long it takes to burn as a crude way of measuring time asleep. These are early sleep experiments, awkward, imprecise, and often quite strange. One clear historical fact: by the 1870s, physicians began publishing formal studies on sleep hygiene, arguing for quiet rooms, proper ventilation, and even early versions of the ideal bedtime. They may not have known about REM cycles yet, but they were already diagnosing insomnia as a medical problem. The odd tidbit: some Victorian doctors genuinely believed you could cure sleep troubles by putting your feet in cold water before bed. Historians still debate whether this was medical wisdom or just creative cruelty disguised as health advice. You lie on a stiff bed in a boarding house room, walls pale and peeling. A doctor peers over at you, pencil ready, eager to record whether you sigh, turn, or mumble in your sleep. The pillow smells faintly of camphor, because of course they thought medicinal fumes might improve dreams. You close your eyes anyway, pretending you're not under observation, and the scientist waits in the half-dark, listening for the moment your breathing evens out. For all their instruments and notes, they cannot measure the true shape of your dreams. Only you can walk through them. You roll into a softer bed, cleaner sheets, and the faint hum of electricity. It's the early 20th century now, and the world is buzzing, literally. Bulbs glow at night, radios murmur lullabies and speeches, and cities refuse to sleep. You probably won't make it through this day, but that's fine. The radio announcer is reading news in a monotone fit for lullabies. One historical fact: by the 1920s, electric lighting had fully reshaped sleep patterns. Bedtimes drifted later, mornings sometimes grew harsher, and the average night's rest shrank further. Humans were learning to bend night to their will, and sleep had to retreat where it could. A stranger tidbit: Some households believed it was dangerous to sleep too close to a running electric appliance, fearing it would drain vitality. People placed their radios across the room, as if the static might steal dreams. Historians still debate whether this fear was superstition or a sensible reaction to mysterious new technology. You walk down a neon-lit street. Movie theaters glow, diners buzz. Jazz spills from an upstairs window. It's well past midnight, but nobody seems eager to rest. Inside an apartment above a shop, a family gathers by the wireless set, listening to a crooner sing something syrupy and slow. Children fall asleep curled on couches. Adults yawn discreetly but keep listening. You find the bed in a small back room, springs creaking as you settle in. Outside, the neon flickers through the window, painting the ceiling in restless colors. The hum of electricity follows you into half-sleep, where even dreams now seem to have background music. Sleep is changing again, folding itself around wires and bulbs, but it still comes eventually. And when it does, you drift off with the sense that the world has decided night no longer belongs to silence. You awaken to the faint hiss of steam and the low rumble of an engine. The air smells faintly of kerosene and rubber. You are in the 1930s, a time when sleep is increasingly measured, monitored, and discussed in magazines alongside fashion tips and advice on proper hygiene. You probably won't make it through this day, though the government and sleep experts would insist you try. Beds are softer than before, with coil springs and feather-filled pillows. Yet the concept of perfect sleep remains elusive. People begin to consider mattress firmness scientifically, and some doctors publish guidelines for room temperature, ventilation, and the ideal angle for a pillow. It's a time when sleep straddles practicality and obsession. One historical fact. In the 1930s, Nathaniel Kleitman, a pioneer in sleep research, began studying what would later be known as REM sleep. Scientists were peering into the mechanics of dreams, measuring eye movement while sleepers lay oblivious. The quirky tidbit: some households experimented with mechanical sleep aids, rotating fans, gentle rocking beds, or even electric foot warmers, believing these devices could summon slumber more efficiently. Historians still debate whether they genuinely helped or simply made the bedroom feel like a low-budget carnival ride. You walk through a softly lit apartment, noticing curtains pulled tight against the neon glare outside. In the corner, a radio murmurs a late-night program, a mixture of news, music, and advertisements promising better mornings if you just sleep right. The child curled on the couch dreams of airplanes and comic strips, while the parent adjusts the blanket, sighing with the weight of the day still clinging to their shoulders. You settle into your own bed, sinking into springs and feathers. The hum of electricity, the faint crackle of the radio, and the cool breeze from an open window lull you. Outside, streetlights blur the edges of shadows, softening the city into a slow-moving dream. You close your eyes, letting the world pulse quietly around you, aware that even science cannot entirely command the mystery of rest. You stir again and hear the faint clatter of typewriters and the distant roar of traffic. The air carries the smell of ink, paper, and rain-soaked asphalt. It's the 1950s, and sleep has become a subject of both fascination and marketing. Pillows and mattresses are advertised with promises of perfect rest, and sleep studies appear in journals and daytime radio programs alike. You probably won't make it through this day, though the comfortable mattress might tempt you to try. The rhythm of the household has shifted. Children sleep in bedrooms painted in pastel colors, parents in separate spaces for privacy, and television broadcasts punctuate evenings with both entertainment and soft background light. Nighttime is no longer entirely dark or silent, but people adapt, cocooned in sheets, featherbeds, and carefully engineered alarm clocks. Historical fact: by the 1950s, researchers like William Dement were beginning systematic studies on sleep disorders, identifying stages of sleep and emphasizing the importance of regular schedules. Sleep was no longer just personal, it was a science to be measured, optimized, and sometimes medicated. The peculiar tidbit: some families believed that sleeping with a glass of water on the nightstand could ward off bad dreams, while others positioned small charms under pillows for the same purpose. Historians still debate how widespread these superstitions were in post-war urban households. You wander into a suburban bedroom, the faint glow of a television illuminating the walls. The sheets are cool, the bed large, and the hum of electric devices surrounds you like a gentle white noise. You notice a child asleep with one arm draped over a stuffed animal, the parent's hand lingering briefly on the duvet, tracing patterns of reassurance learned over decades. Lying down, you close your eyes and feel the slow pulse of the world outside the window. Cars hum, neon lights flicker, and the distant chatter of neighbors seeps through the walls. Sleep is still the same mysterious friend it always was, now observed more closely but never fully understood. You drift, aware of the continuity of rest across centuries, cultures, and beds of every variety. You awaken to the quiet click of an electric fan and the distant whir of a refrigerator. The air smells faintly of polished wood and evening rain dripping from a tin roof. You're in the 1960s, where sleep is being studied, marketed, and shaped by a rapidly modernizing world. You probably won't make it through this day, though the ergonomically designed mattress might tempt you to try. Beds are larger, softer, and often encased in patterned sheets promising comfort. People now read sleep advice in magazines, buy alarm clocks that beep, buzz, or even glow, and take seriously the science of rest. Television keeps evenings awake longer, and neon or incandescent lights spill into bedrooms, creating a delicate compromise between darkness and modernity. Historical fact: in the 1960s, researchers were beginning to identify the significance of REM sleep in learning and memory, realizing that our nightly wanderings through dreams were more than idle fancy. They were integral to our mental function. A quirky tidbit: some households experimented with white noise devices, machines that emitted a continuous, soothing hum to mask outside distractions. Historians still debate how effective they were, or whether they mostly just reminded people of mechanical humming from factories and trains. You walk through a suburban street, the glow of streetlights reflecting on wet asphalt. Families return from evening outings, cars parked unevenly, the faint scent of coffee and cigarettes lingering in the air. Upstairs, children curl under blankets, parents recline in chairs, some flicking through magazines that insist better sleep can be bought in a bottle, a pillow, or a mattress. You lie down on a mattress that feels firm yet forgiving, the sheets cool against your skin. The fan hums above, circling slowly. The city hums below. And as your eyes close, you feel the gentle tug of sleep, undisturbed by decades of industrialization, televisions, or neon signs. Sleep, as always, arrives when it pleases. When you stir next, the room has changed again. It's now the 1970s, and the world outside your window pulses with rock music, fluorescent lights, and the faint smell of vinyl records and incense. Sleep has become a subject of pop culture as much as science, a time to relax but also to optimize. You probably won't make it through this day, though it might help if you try stretching first. Yoga mats and relaxation exercises have started creeping into bedrooms. People now experiment with sleep in more structured ways. Bedtime rituals include soft music, chamomile tea, or gentle breathing exercises. Dreams are still mysterious, but psychology journals explore their significance, and guides advise on how to train yourself for a better night's rest. A historical fact, by the late 1970s, polysomnography, the comprehensive recording of sleep, had become a standard in medical research. Scientists could now measure brainwaves, breathing, and eye movement, discovering patterns of sleep that had been invisible to human observation for centuries. The odd tidbit: some wellness enthusiasts believed that sleeping with crystals under the pillow could improve dream clarity. Historians still debate whether this practice was fringe or quietly widespread, but either way, it adds a peculiar sparkle to the bedtime landscape. You wander through a softly lit apartment, the faint rhythm of music from a record player filling the corners. A family prepares for sleep, curtains drawn against the remaining light of the evening. Children stretch and yawn, pets curl into small corners, and adults adjust blankets while sipping warm tea. You lie down, pulling the soft quilt over yourself. The air smells faintly of incense and fabric softener, a curious combination that somehow signals comfort. Your breathing slows, muscles relax, and the patterns of sleep discovered in laboratories drift into your consciousness as mere whispers. Sleep is still yours alone, even as science watches and music hums, soft and continuous, in the background. You awaken to the gentle hum of fluorescent lights and the distant murmur of traffic. The air smells faintly of detergent and newly painted walls. You're in the 1980s now, when sleep is officially both a science and a consumer product. You probably won't make it through this day, though the memory foam mattress you imagined hasn't arrived yet, so at least you can dream about it. Beds have grown even larger, with thick mattresses, plush pillows, and comforters promising optimal rest. Alarm clocks beep insistently, some with radios built in to ease or startle you into consciousness. The concept of sleep hygiene becomes popular, emphasizing consistent bedtimes, darkness, and minimal distractions. Historical fact: in the 1980s, sleep research expanded rapidly, with discoveries about sleep cycles, disorders, and the consequences of sleep deprivation. REM sleep, slow-wave sleep, and the subtle effects of artificial light began to be understood in detail. The curious tidbit: some wellness magazines encouraged sleeping with chamomile sachets under your pillow to ward off nightmares, a charming notion that mixed folk belief with commercial advice. Historians still debate whether this advice was genuinely practiced or mostly sold as a comfort ritual. You walk through a suburban bedroom, patterned wallpaper catching the faint light of a night lamp. Children lie curled on sheets patterned with cartoon characters. Teenagers attempt to sneak in late-night reading, and parents adjust blankets while checking the glowing digits of their alarm clocks. You lie down on a mattress slightly too soft, pulling a quilt over yourself. The room hums with electronics, TVs, radios, and the occasional refrigerator whirring. Yet sleep, timeless and indifferent, slips in anyway, unfazed by chords, numbers, or the precise measurement of hours. You close your eyes, drifting, aware that the rhythm of centuries of sleep pulses quietly beneath the hum of modern life. You stir to a faint, digital glow, and the air smells faintly of air conditioning and brewed coffee. It's the 1990s, when the world is increasingly awake at night, connected by technology, but sleep continues stubbornly on its own schedule. You probably won't make it through this day, though if you have a desktop computer in your room, you might try just one last email before surrendering to rest. People now measure sleep with early wristwatches and gadgets, read about it in magazines, and buy mattresses with memory foam. Despite all the advice, the rhythms of human rest remain surprisingly resistant to schedules and instructions. Nightlife, television, and computers stretch wakefulness later, and caffeine begins to take on the role of a modern charm, keeping the city awake while sleep waits patiently. Historical fact: by the 1990s, Sleep clinics were increasingly common in the US and Europe. Scientists were studying insomnia, apnea, and narcolepsy with more sophistication, identifying patterns that had remained invisible for millennia. The quirky tidbit: some people believed sleeping with the TV on could somehow train the brain to fall asleep faster. Historians still debate whether this was clever multitasking or merely a mild form of self-inflicted insomnia. You walk into a softly lit bedroom, posters on the walls and a faint glow from a computer screen. Children lie curled in bed, teenagers stare at the ceiling thinking about the day, and adults adjust pillows with a sigh. The sheets smell faintly of detergent, the air humming with electronics. You lie down, pulling a quilt over yourself. The rhythmic hum of the city and technology fades into a background of comfort. Sleep, ancient and unbothered, begins to take over, indifferent to trends, technology, or the anxiety of calendars. You close your eyes, sinking into rest, and the centuries of nightly ritual drift over you like a soft tide. You awaken to the faint blue glow of a smartphone screen and the quiet vibration of notifications you haven't yet silenced. The air smells faintly of new electronics and the lingering aroma of morning coffee. You are in the 2000s, the era when sleep begins to contend with screens, schedules, and an always-on culture. You probably won't make it through this day, though your body insists it will try anyway. Beds are now optimized for comfort and style, with pillow-top mattresses, memory foam, and ergonomic designs promising better rest. Sleep is increasingly measured, tracked, and even marketed as a lifestyle choice. People consult online forums, read articles, and purchase devices to monitor their nightly hours. Despite all of this, the natural rhythm of sleep remains stubbornly personal. A historical fact: in the early 2000s, wearable sleep trackers began emerging, allowing people to monitor movement, heart rate, and estimated sleep cycles. The idea of quantifying rest had moved from the lab into bedrooms worldwide. The quirky tidbit: some enthusiasts experimented with sleep apps that played binaural beats or soothing ocean sounds to enhance rest. Historians still debate whether these devices genuinely improved sleep or merely provided comforting background noise. You wander through a softly lit apartment, children asleep in bunk beds, a teen scrolling quietly on a phone, and parents lounging on a large sectional, half watching a muted TV show. The hum of electronics fills the space like a gentle tide, familiar and oddly calming. You lie down on a mattress carefully chosen for support, pulling a quilt over yourself. The digital hum fades to background noise as your breathing slows. Sleep arrives with quiet inevitability, bridging centuries of nightly ritual, technology, and cultural change. You close your eyes, allowing yourself to drift in a world that is awake all around you but still yields to rest. You awaken to the subtle, synthetic glow of LED lights and the soft chime of a smartwatch. The air carries the faint aroma of modern upholstery and brewed tea. You are in the 2010s, an era of hyper-awareness about sleep, where apps, smart devices, and wellness trends attempt to regulate your nightly hours. You probably won't make it through this day, though the mattress with adjustable firmness promises that you'll at least be comfortable while trying. People now adopt elaborate bedtime routines, dimming lights, tracking sleep cycles, limiting screen time, or practicing mindfulness and meditation. Sleep has become a curated experience, often guided by data, yet ultimately still governed by ancient biological rhythms. A historical fact: by the 2010s, studies showed that exposure to screens before bedtime could disrupt circadian rhythms, influencing the production of melatonin and delaying sleep onset. The science of rest had become intertwined with daily technology habits. A peculiar tidbit: some enthusiasts swear by sleep podcasts designed to lull listeners into rest with monotone voices, reading historical facts or fictionalized narratives. Historians still debate whether the content matters at all, or if the slow cadence alone is enough to coax the brain into slumber. You move through a softly lit bedroom, the faint glow of a phone charging nearby. Children lie curled under blankets, teenagers scroll quietly, adults adjust pillows and blankets with practiced efficiency. Outside, distant city hums mix with the quiet indoor murmur. You settle into a mattress engineered for support and comfort. The quilt wraps around you like a soft cocoon. Sleep drifts in gradually, unhurried, brushing past the digital noise, the alarms, and the meticulous planning. Even in the age of hypertechnology, rest claims its quiet, timeless dominion. You close your eyes and feel yourself carried into the gentle, enduring rhythm of the night. You awaken to the faint buzz of a smart home device, its soft glow reflecting off the walls. The air carries hints of lavender from a diffuser and the faint scent of polished hardwood. You are in the early 2020s, when sleep is not just studied, marketed, or tracked. It is gamified, quantified, and constantly analyzed. You probably won't make it through this day, though your smart mattress assures you that you'll at least lie down in scientifically measured comfort. Beds are highly customizable now, with temperature regulation, memory foam layers, and adjustable bases. People track sleep stages with wearable devices, apps, and even connected bedroom gadgets that promise optimal rest. Yet, for all the data, the body still insists on doing what it has always done: fall asleep when it is ready. A historical fact: in the 2020s, sleep studies integrated artificial intelligence to predict sleep cycles and suggest interventions, bringing decades of research directly into homes. These innovations marked a new era where sleep and technology were inseparable. The quirky tidbit: some enthusiasts use weighted blankets to reduce anxiety and improve rest, believing the gentle pressure mimics the comforting sensation of a hug. Historians still debate whether these products work through physics or simply psychological suggestion. You wander through a softly lit bedroom, children nestled in ergonomic beds, adults scrolling briefly through news apps, pets curled at the foot of the mattress. The hum of air purifiers, fans, and distant traffic blends into a lullaby of modern life. You lie down on a mattress designed to cradle every contour of your body. The quilt folds around you like a soft wave. Sleep comes, unbothered by notifications, algorithms, or the constant flicker of screens. You close your eyes, feeling the rhythm of human rest persist, unchanged at its core despite centuries of invention, culture, and technology. You awaken to the soft, ambient lighting of a smart room, programmed to simulate a sunset. The air smells faintly of essential oils, a mix of eucalyptus and chamomile. You are now in the mid-2020s, where sleep has become both a science and a lifestyle choice, meticulously curated but still fundamentally human. You probably won't make it through this day, though sleep studies assure you it is highly recommended. Beds now integrate sensors, temperature regulation, and subtle vibration cues to guide breathing and heart rate. Sleep coaching apps monitor your patterns, and podcasts are crafted to lead listeners into drowsiness with measured tones and rhythms. Yet even with all these interventions, the essence of sleep, the gradual surrender to unconsciousness, remains untouched. Historical fact: by 2025, studies were exploring the effects of blue light filtering, circadian lighting, and smart bedroom environments, confirming that both the timing and quality of light exposure significantly affect rest. The odd tidbit: some people now use AI-generated ambient sounds, like digitally composed rainfall or whispered historical stories, to fall asleep. Historians still debate whether these sounds affect the brain directly or merely soothe it through familiarity and monotony. You walk through a softly lit modern apartment. The child lies curled in a memory foam bed with an app tracking REM cycles. Adults adjust pillows and blankets with mechanical precision, and a cat stretches across the foot of the bed. The air hums with the gentle sound of electronics, filtered air, and distant city noise. You settle into your own mattress, adjusting its firmness with a remote. The quilt folds around you like a gentle tide, and the ambient lighting gradually dims. Sleep arrives quietly, patiently, following the same ancient patterns that have guided humans for millennia. You close your eyes and drift, aware that rest has endured across time, technology, and culture, unchanging in its fund. You awaken to the faint vibration of a smartwatch, its gentle pulse tracking your heart rate. The air smells of clean sheets, soft detergent, and a hint of coffee from the kitchen. You are now in the late 2020s, a world where sleep is guided by both ancient instincts and modern technology. You probably won't make it through this day, though your smart mattress promises optimal support if you lie still and follow its instructions. Beds now integrate sensors for breathing, movement, and temperature, and apps send reminders for ideal bedtimes. Yet despite all the data, the body still responds to internal rhythms that predate clocks, apps, and blue light filters. Sleep, as ever, is a negotiation between biology and environment. Historical fact: by the late 2020s, personalized sleep tracking had become mainstream, with research demonstrating that interventions based on individual patterns could improve sleep efficiency and overall health. A quirky tidbit: some people experiment with sleep masks that emit gentle sounds or subtle vibrations to cue REM cycles. Historians still debate whether the masks are truly effective or mostly placebo, though the placebo effect, after all, is remarkably persuasive. You walk through a softly lit bedroom, children tucked into beds with subtle night lights, adults scrolling briefly on tablets, and pets stretching into quiet corners. The soft hum of technology blends with the quiet of the night. You lie down on a mattress that adjusts to your body shape and temperature, pulling a quilt over yourself. The hum of electronics fades into a soft, indistinguishable lullaby. Sleep arrives steadily, unbothered by reminders, apps, or measurements, as ancient as life itself. You close your eyes, drifting into the continuity of rest that stretches back centuries. You awaken to the soft hum of an electric heater and the faint glow of a tablet charging on the nightstand. The air smells faintly of warm tea and wood polish. You are now in the 2030s, a world where sleep is fully integrated with lifestyle, technology, and wellness, yet remains fundamentally mysterious. You probably won't make it through this day, though your bedroom promises perfect conditions if you surrender to it. Beds have evolved into near-intelligent systems, adjusting temperature, firmness, and ambient lighting to match your body's signals. Sleep apps track not just movement but heart rate variability, stress levels, and even predicted dream stages. Still, the essential act of falling asleep, surrendering to unconsciousness, remains timeless. Historical fact: by the early 2030s, personalized sleep optimization had reached a new level, integrating AI insights with biometric data to predict optimal bedtime and sleep cycles, helping mitigate insomnia and improve overall health. The quirky tidbit: some people use gentle AI-generated narrative voices that recount historical events in soothing monotone, blending education and relaxation. Historians still debate whether the content matters at all or if it's merely the cadence and monotony that aid sleep. You walk through a softly lit apartment, children nestled into beds with circadian lighting, adults quietly adjusting pillows, and pets stretched in the corners. The gentle hum of devices blends with the stillness of night. You lie down on a bed that responds to your body's micromovements, pulling a quilt over yourself. The lights dim automatically, The temperature adjusts to your preference, and subtle vibrations encourage slow breathing. Sleep arrives naturally, uninterrupted by notifications or routines, as timeless and essential as it has always been. You close your eyes, letting centuries of nocturnal rhythm wash over you. You awaken to the soft, almost imperceptible chirp of a smart assistant signaling optimal sleep tracking. The air smells faintly of lavender and soft cotton sheets. You are in a world where technology and wellness intersect, yet sleep remains a universal, unchanging experience. You probably won't make it through this day, though the optimized environment promises a gentle journey into rest. Beds now feature advanced materials and AI-driven adjustments, sensors tracking every nuance of sleep quality. Sleep coaching apps suggest changes to lighting, diet, and bedtime routines. Yet, despite all intervention, sleep remains a negotiation between biology and environment, as it has been for millennia. Historical fact: by this era, research confirmed that circadian-aligned lighting, temperature regulation, and white noise all contribute measurably to sleep efficiency, marking a blend of ancient observation and modern science. The curious tidbit: some people now rely on AI-generated ambient historical narratives, stories of past civilizations, recounted in gentle monotones, to coax the brain into a relaxed state. Historians still debate whether the storytelling itself has an effect or if the cadence alone is sufficient. You walk through a modern bedroom, children quietly sleeping in ergonomic beds, adults reclined on mattresses calibrated for maximum comfort, pets curled at the foot. The soft hum of electronics forms a rhythm, a gentle undertone to the night. You settle into your own bed, adjusting temperature, lighting, and pillow firmness automatically. The quilt folds around you like a gentle tide. Sleep arrives patiently, as it always has, bridging centuries of nightly ritual, innovation, and culture. You close your eyes and drift, knowing the continuity of rest is older than technology, older than civilizations, and still as essential as the breath in your lungs. You awaken to the faint hum of a smart climate control system and the soft glow of adaptive ambient lighting. The air carries the gentle scent of eucalyptus and warm cotton. You are in the mid-2030s, where sleep is seamlessly integrated with lifestyle, yet the experience remains deeply human. You probably won't make it through this day, though the bedroom environment is practically pleading with you to try. Beds now monitor heart rate, movement, and stress levels in real time. Sleep apps provide insights, nudges, and suggestions to optimize rest. Yet even with this wealth of information, falling asleep remains an instinctive, elusive act, guided by biology more than technology. Historical fact: by the mid-2030s, AI-assisted sleep optimization became standard in many households, combining circadian rhythm alignment, environmental adjustments, and personalized sleep coaching for improved rest. A quirky tidbit: some people experiment with historical soundscapes, where digitally reconstructed sounds of ancient civilizations, like bustling Roman markets or quiet medieval villages, are played to induce relaxation. Historians still debate whether these recreations are accurate or merely imaginative interpretations. You move through a softly lit bedroom, children tucked into beds that adapt to their sleep cycles, adults adjusting blankets with subtle gestures, and pets curling comfortably. The subtle hum of machines blends with the natural quiet of the night. You lie down on a mattress that senses your micromovements, adjusting firmness and temperature. The quilt folds around you, a comforting cocoon. Sleep arrives steadily, indifferent to algorithms or devices, bridging centuries of human rest. You close your eyes, surrendering to the timeless rhythm of night. You awaken to the quiet chirp of a smartwatch, the soft dimming of LED lights, and the faint aroma of chamomile tea. You are now in the late 2030s, a world where sleep is both meticulously optimized and naturally ancient. You probably won't make it through this day, though the gentle environment promises a calming transition into rest. Beds now integrate full biometric monitoring, environmental controls, and subtle AI guidance. Sleep has become a carefully curated experience, yet the fundamental act of surrendering to unconsciousness remains unchanged. Historical fact: by this era, studies demonstrated that personalized sleep interventions, including lighting adjustments, temperature control, and soundscapes, could measurably improve sleep quality, efficiency, and overall health. The curious tidbit: some households employ AI-generated storytelling to encourage relaxation, reading historical anecdotes or imagined past scenarios in monotone voices. Historians still debate whether the content matters or if the monotone delivery alone induces sleep. You walk through a softly illuminated bedroom. Children sleep in beds that adjust automatically to their body heat and movement. Adults recline on ergonomically designed mattresses, while pets curl in corners. The quiet hum of devices, subtle vibrations, and filtered air blend into a lullaby of modern life. You lie down on your bed, adjusting lighting, temperature, and pillow settings through a sleek interface. The quilt folds softly around you, enveloping you in comfort. Sleep arrives, patient and steady, bridging centuries of nightly ritual, innovation, and cultural transformation. You close your eyes and drift into the timeless rhythm of rest. You awaken to the gentle hum of a smart ventilation system and the soft glow of circadian-adjusted lighting. The air smells faintly of lavender and clean cotton. You are in the early 2040s, a world where sleep is fully integrated with technology, wellness, and environmental design, yet remains timelessly human. You probably won't make it through this day, though your bed's subtle cues gently encourage you to try. Beds now anticipate your needs, adjusting temperature, firmness, and lighting automatically. Sleep is monitored in real time, and AI offers personalized suggestions for optimal rest. Yet even with all this innovation, the act of surrendering to sleep, lying down and drifting, is as instinctive as it has ever been. Historical fact: by the 2040s, AI-assisted sleep systems were capable of detecting subtle disruptions, like stress or light disturbances, and intervening in real time to maintain sleep quality. These systems transformed bedtime from a passive routine into a carefully curated experience. The quirky tidbit: some people use AI-generated dream maps, quiet audio landscapes of imagined historical or futuristic cities, to guide their minds gently into sleep. Historians still debate whether these imagined worlds truly affect dreams or merely soothe the mind with rhythm and monotony. You walk through a softly lit bedroom. Children rest in beds that adjust automatically to their movements. Adults recline on ergonomically optimized mattresses, and pets curl nearby. The soft hum of filtered air and gentle vibrations creates a quiet, enveloping rhythm. You lie down on your bed, adjusting settings through an interface that seems to anticipate every need. The quilt folds around you like a wave, and the hum of technology fades into a gentle lullaby. Sleep arrives patiently, timelessly, bridging centuries of human rest, innovation, and cultural adaptation. You close your eyes and drift into the quiet, steady rhythm of night. You awaken to the quiet glow of adaptive smart lighting and the faint hum of an AI-assisted climate system. The air carries the soft aroma of lavender and subtle notes of fresh linen. You are in the mid-2040s, a world where sleep is guided by science, technology, and centuries of human experience, yet remains profoundly natural. You probably won't make it through this day, though your environment is perfectly aligned to ease you into rest. Beds now feature fully integrated AI systems that monitor heart rate, breathing, body temperature, and subtle movements. Personalized interventions guide sleep cycles, optimizing REM and deep sleep phases. Yet the essential experience, closing your eyes and surrendering to unconsciousness, remains timeless. Historical fact: by the 2040s, large-scale studies confirmed that integrated sleep technologies significantly reduced insomnia and improved overall wellness, demonstrating that the fusion of technology and natural sleep rhythms could coexist. The curious tidbit: some households employ AI-assisted storytelling that recounts slow, historically accurate narratives in monotone voices, blending relaxation, education, and subconscious drift into dreams. Historians still debate whether the content or merely the rhythm is what calms the mind. You walk through a softly lit bedroom. Children lie nestled in responsive beds. Adults recline on ergonomically perfect mattresses, and pets curl in warm corners. The quiet hum of devices, gentle vibrations, and filtered air merge into a subtle lullaby of modern life. You settle into your bed, adjusting temperature, lighting, and pillow firmness with a few subtle gestures. The quilt folds softly around you, and the room's gentle rhythm fades into your awareness. Sleep arrives, as it always has, patiently and steadily, linking generations of humans in the timeless, universal act of rest. You close your eyes and drift, carried into the enduring pulse of night. You awaken to the quiet murmur of AI-assisted home systems, subtle lights shifting to simulate dusk. The air smells faintly of warm linen and chamomile. You are now in the late 2040s, a time when technology, wellness, and centuries of human tradition converge in the bedroom. Yet sleep remains profoundly human. You probably won't make it through this day, though your bed seems to anticipate every nuance of comfort and readiness. Beds now track not just movement and temperature, but also stress levels, ambient sound, and air quality, adjusting automatically for optimal sleep. Sleep is both monitored and gently guided, yet the essential act of drifting into unconsciousness, slowly, willingly, remains ancient and timeless. Historical fact: by the late 2040s, longitudinal studies confirmed that AI-assisted sleep guidance reduced the incidence of sleep disorders and improved mental health metrics in diverse populations. Sleep had officially entered the era of precision wellness. The quirky tidbit: some people use AI-generated historical soundscapes, ancient city streets, medieval marketplaces, or Renaissance workshops to lull themselves into rest. Historians still debate whether the content matters or if the rhythm and cadence alone induce sleep. You walk through a softly lit bedroom. Children sleep in beds calibrated to their growth and activity levels. Adults adjust blankets with subtle gestures, and pets curl comfortably nearby. The soft hum of technology and filtered air forms a gentle undertone to the night. You lie down on your mattress, the quilt folding around you like a wave. Sensors adjust to your micromovements, temperature, and breathing. Sleep arrives patiently, unhurried, and inevitable, bridging centuries of rest, innovation, and ritual. You close your eyes, drifting into the timeless rhythm of night. You awaken to the soft glow of circadian-adjusted lighting and the quiet hum of a smart climate system. The air carries faint notes of lavender and fresh cotton. You are in the early 2050s, a world where sleep is highly curated, yet still a deeply human act. You probably won't make it through this day, though your optimized environment gently encourages rest. Beds are now fully integrated systems monitoring breathing, heart rate, stress levels, and subtle movements. AI-assisted guidance ensures optimal sleep stages and environmental comfort. Yet the essential human act, closing your eyes and surrendering to unconsciousness, remains as it always has been. Historical fact: by the early 2050s, Research showed that personalized sleep interventions combined with environmental adjustments significantly improved sleep quality and mental well-being across age groups. Sleep had become an active part of wellness culture. A peculiar tidbit: some households rely on AI-generated stories recounting historical events in calm, monotone narration to encourage relaxation. Historians still debate whether the content or merely the consistent pacing of the narration induces sleep. You walk through a softly lit bedroom. Children sleep in beds adjusted to their activity patterns. Adults recline on ergonomically designed mattresses, and pets curl nearby. The gentle hum of air systems, subtle vibrations, and quiet devices blends into a lullaby of modern life. You settle into your bed, adjusting firmness, lighting, and temperature automatically. The quilt folds softly around you, and the subtle hum fades into background comfort. Sleep arrives, patient and steady, bridging centuries of nightly ritual, human adaptation, and technological innovation. You close your eyes and drift, enveloped in the timeless rhythm of night. You awaken to the quiet flicker of circadian lighting softly adjusting to the room, accompanied by the hum of a filtered air system. The air smells faintly of chamomile, linen, and the lingering aroma of evening tea. You are in the mid-2050s, a world where sleep is optimized through centuries of knowledge, yet remains a fundamentally human act. You probably won't make it through this day, though the gentle adjustments of your mattress and environment encourage you to try. Beds now integrate full biometric monitoring, tracking heart rate, breathing, stress levels, and micromovements, while AI adjusts temperature, firmness, and lighting to optimize your rest. Sleep is guided, but the act of surrendering to unconsciousness remains instinctive, ancient, and deeply personal. Historical fact: by the mid-2050s, longitudinal research showed that environmental optimization combined with AI-guided sleep interventions significantly improved REM duration and overall sleep efficiency, revealing a new frontier in human wellness. The quirky tidbit: some people use AI-generated historical lullabies, narrating the slow rhythms of daily life in ancient civilizations to induce calm. Historians still debate whether it's the content or the measured cadence that soothes the brain. You walk through a softly lit bedroom. Children sleep in beds that automatically adjust to support growth and comfort. Adults recline on mattresses optimized for micromovements, and pets curl in warm corners. The gentle hum of devices and subtle vibrations blend seamlessly with the quiet of night. You lie down on a mattress responding to your body, the quilt folding around you like a soft wave. Sleep arrives steadily, patiently, and inevitably, bridging centuries of nightly ritual and innovation. You close your eyes and drift into the timeless rhythm of night. You awaken to the faint glow of a smart night lamp, its light mimicking the gradual dimming of sunset. The air carries the subtle scent of lavender, fresh sheets, and polished wood. You are in the late 2050s, a world where sleep is precisely curated yet remains as instinctive as it was in ancient times. You probably won't make it through this day, though the AI-guided environment promises a gentle path to rest. Beds now adjust automatically to temperature, firmness, and micromovements, while AI tracks heart rate, breathing, and stress to maintain optimal sleep cycles. Despite all this, the act of closing your eyes and drifting into unconsciousness remains fundamentally human. Historical fact: by the late 2050s, research confirmed that environmental adjustments, combined with personalized sleep guidance, improved sleep duration, reduced nighttime awakenings, and enhanced cognitive function the following day. The odd tidbit: some households employ AI-generated dream primers, soft audio narratives blending historical storytelling with imagined future scenes to guide relaxation. Historians still debate whether the content influences dreams or if the rhythm alone is enough to induce rest. You walk through a softly lit bedroom. Children sleep in beds that respond to their body temperature and movement. Adults recline on ergonomically designed mattresses, and pets curl in familiar corners. The gentle hum of devices, filtered air, and subtle vibrations create a calm symphony of modern rest. You lie down, the quilt folding softly around you, the room's gentle rhythm fading into the background. Sleep arrives, patient and steady, bridging centuries of nightly ritual, technological innovation, and cultural evolution. You close your eyes and drift into the enduring pulse of night. You awaken to the faint hum of an AI-controlled climate system and the soft dimming of circadian lighting. The air smells faintly of fresh linen, chamomile, and a hint of polished wood. You are in the early 2060s, a world where sleep is fully optimized yet remains profoundly human. You probably won't make it through this day, though the gentle rhythm of your environment gently encourages rest. Beds now anticipate body temperature, micromovements, and breathing, adjusting firmness, lighting, and ambient sound in real time. Sleep is monitored, guided, and enhanced, but the act of surrendering to unconsciousness remains instinctive, ancient, and unaltered by technology. Historical fact: by the early 2060s, AI-assisted sleep systems had become sophisticated enough to prevent minor disruptions, track REM cycles, and optimize overall rest with remarkable precision, reflecting decades of research in human sleep patterns. The quirky tidbit: some enthusiasts use AI-generated historical soundscapes, blending medieval marketplaces, Renaissance workshops, or ancient village life to lull themselves into calm. Historians still debate whether the content shapes dreams or if it's simply the rhythm that relaxes the mind. You walk through a softly lit bedroom. Children sleep in beds that adjust automatically to support growth and comfort. Adults recline on adaptive mattresses, and pets curl in familiar spots. The gentle hum of devices blends with the quiet of night. You lie down on your bed, adjusting temperature and firmness automatically. The quilt folds around you like a wave, and sleep arrives patiently, bridging centuries of nightly ritual and innovation. You close your eyes and drift into the timeless rhythm of night. You awaken to the subtle glow of adaptive lighting and the soft hum of air filtration. The air smells faintly of lavender, cotton, and the warmth of the night. You are now in the mid-2060s, a world where technology, wellness, and centuries of human practice converge in the bedroom, yet sleep remains fundamentally human. You probably won't make it through this day, though the environment's gentle adjustments make the attempt undeniably inviting. Beds now integrate full biometric monitoring, environmental adjustments, and AI-guided interventions. Sleep cycles, breathing, heart rate, and movement are tracked, and the environment adapts in real time. Yet the essential act of surrendering to unconsciousness, letting go of awareness, is unchanged. Historical fact: by the 2060s, studies confirmed that continuous, adaptive sleep guidance improved sleep quality, reduced awakenings, and enhanced cognitive performance across all age groups. Sleep had become a fusion of ancient instinct and modern technology. The peculiar tidbit: some households play AI-generated dream primers, blending historical storytelling with gentle ambient sound to guide relaxation. Historians still debate whether it's the story content or simply the slow, consistent cadence that induces sleep. You walk through a softly lit bedroom. Children lie in beds that respond to body temperature and micromovements. Adults recline on ergonomically optimized mattresses, and pets curl in cozy corners. The gentle hum of devices, subtle vibrations, and filtered air create a quiet symphony of modern rest. You lie down, the quilt folding softly around you, the environment adjusting seamlessly. Sleep arrives steadily, patiently, bridging centuries of nightly ritual, innovation, and cultural evolution. You close your eyes and drift into the enduring pulse of night. You awaken to the soft glow of circadian lighting and the gentle hum of a climate-controlled bedroom. The air carries faint notes of lavender, cotton, and warm wood. You are in the early 2070s, a world where technology perfectly integrates with human sleep patterns. Yet the essential act of resting remains timeless. You probably won't make it through this day, though the subtle environmental adjustments make it irresistibly inviting. Beds now anticipate your every movement, adjusting firmness, temperature, and ambient lighting in real time. Sleep is guided, monitored, and optimized, yet surrendering to unconsciousness remains as instinctive as it was centuries ago. Historical fact: by the early 2070s, AI-guided sleep systems had become capable of real-time interventions, such as reducing stress-induced awakenings and predicting optimal sleep cycles, merging technology with centuries of observational science. The quirky tidbit: some people use AI-generated historical bedtime tours, softly narrating life in ancient civilizations or long-forgotten cities, to lull the mind into calm. Historians still debate whether the content influences dreams or if the slow cadence alone is sufficient. You walk through a softly lit bedroom. Children sleep in beds that respond to micro-movements. Adults recline on ergonomic mattresses, and pets curl in familiar corners. The gentle hum of devices and filtered air creates a quiet, enveloping rhythm. You lie down on a bed that adjusts seamlessly to your body, the quilt folding softly around you. Sleep arrives patiently, bridging centuries of nightly ritual, innovation, and cultural evolution. You close your eyes and drift into the enduring rhythm of night. You awaken to the subtle hum of an AI-assisted sleep environment and the soft dimming of circadian lighting. The air smells faintly of lavender, clean sheets, and evening tea. You are now in the mid-2070s, where technology has perfected environmental optimization, yet sleep remains profoundly human. You probably won't make it through this day, though the environment is designed to make rest effortless. Beds now integrate full biometric feedback, environmental adjustments, and gentle AI guidance, adjusting temperature, firmness, lighting, and even subtle soundscapes to ensure optimal sleep cycles. Despite this, the essential act of surrendering to unconsciousness remains instinctive and timeless. Historical fact: by the mid-2070s, comprehensive studies demonstrated that continuous, adaptive sleep guidance significantly reduced insomnia, improved REM cycles, and enhanced overall cognitive performance. Sleep had become a seamless combination of biology, culture, and technology. The peculiar tidbit: some households employ AI-generated dream primers that weave historical storytelling with calming ambient sound to guide relaxation. Historians still debate whether the content itself affects dreams or if the steady cadence alone is enough. You walk through a softly lit bedroom. Children rest in beds that respond dynamically to their movements and growth. Adults recline on mattresses that adjust in real time, and pets curl comfortably nearby. The hum of devices, subtle vibrations, and filtered air blend into a quiet lullaby of modern life. You settle into your bed, the quilt folding around you like a gentle wave, the room adjusting seamlessly to your body. Sleep arrives steadily, patiently, bridging centuries of nightly ritual, human adaptation, and technological innovation. You close your eyes and drift, enveloped in the timeless rhythm of night. You awaken to the quiet, almost imperceptible hum of a fully integrated sleep environment. Soft circadian lighting mimics the fading sunset, and the air smells faintly of chamomile, warm cotton, and polished wood. You are in the late 2070s, a world where sleep is perfectly supported by technology, yet remains deeply human. You probably won't make it through this day, though the gentle rhythm of your environment makes the attempt irresistible. Beds now respond in real time to every nuance of your body, micro-movements, breathing, temperature, even subtle stress fluctuations. AI-assisted guidance monitors your sleep cycles and subtly adjusts your surroundings to optimize rest. Despite this sophistication, the simple act of surrendering to unconsciousness, closing your eyes and drifting, remains timeless. Historical fact: by the late 2070s, sleep research confirmed that integrating real-time environmental adjustments with personalized sleep interventions could maximize REM sleep, reduce awakenings, and enhance next-day cognitive function. The quirky tidbit: some households enjoy AI-generated historical bedtime symphonies, blending softly narrated tales of ancient daily life with gentle ambient sound. Historians still debate whether the stories themselves influence dreams or if it's merely the rhythm and monotone that soothe the mind. You walk through a softly lit bedroom. Children rest in dynamically responsive beds. Adults recline on adaptive mattresses, and pets curl in quiet corners. The gentle hum of devices blends with filtered air to create a calming nocturnal symphony. You lie down, the quilt folding softly around you. Sleep arrives patiently, bridging centuries of nightly ritual, technological innovation, and cultural evolution. You close your eyes and drift, aware that the continuity of rest is older than technology, culture, or time itself. You awaken to the softest glow, a world bathed in the quiet cadence of night. The air carries faint lavender, linen, and the subtle warmth of a room perfectly tuned to your comfort. You are now in a world where sleep, perfected by centuries of human knowledge and technology, continues as a timeless, gentle rhythm. You probably won't make it through this day, though the environment itself seems to cradle you into compliance. Beds now anticipate every need, adapting firmness, temperature, lighting, and subtle ambient sound to maintain a perfect equilibrium. AI-guided adjustments ensure uninterrupted REM sleep, deep rest, and minimal awakenings. Yet all of this sophistication coexists with the ancient, instinctive act of closing your eyes and surrendering to unconsciousness, which no technology can fully replace. Historical fact: by the 2080s, studies confirmed that the combination of personalized environmental control and AI-assisted guidance not only improved sleep duration but enhanced memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and overall wellness. The peculiar tidbit: some individuals drift off to AI-generated dream primers, recounting gently narrated historical or imagined scenes in calming monotone. Historians still debate whether the content shapes dreams or if the slow cadence alone is enough to soothe the mind. You walk through a bedroom softly illuminated by adaptive light, children curled in beds responding to every micro-movement, adults reclined on mattresses optimized for support and temperature, and pets comfortably tucked into corners. The gentle hum of devices, subtle vibrations, and filtered air create a quiet symphony of modern life. You settle into your bed, the quilt folding softly around you like a wave, the lights dimming gradually, sensors humming quietly in the background. Sleep arrives patiently, inevitably, bridging centuries of nightly ritual, human adaptation, and technological innovation. Now, as you drift, imagine a slow, warm tide rising and falling across your body, a river of light and soft sound, carrying you from the awareness of day into the calm, undisturbed flow of night. The hum of the city, the whisper of air, the gentle rise and fall of your own breath, all dissolve into a soft, unbroken rhythm. Thoughts float by like clouds, slowly, lazily, without urgency. memories of ancient civilizations, the quiet streets of modern cities, and the hum of a world both awake and resting merge into a seamless, gentle continuum. Your body relaxes, your mind softens, and the sensation of floating between past, present, and the eternal night enfolds you. Every muscle, every nerve, every pulse finds its rhythm in this slow, calming current. Let go. There is nothing to do, nowhere to be, no time to track. Only the gentle, eternal cadence of sleep, timeless, patient, and complete. Drift now, softly, fully, into the quiet arms of night.